Hello and Mingalaba. Welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. State Counsellor held a video conference with volunteers at quarantine centres. COVID-19 total cases reaching 243 in Myanmar. A story coverage on the current situation of the basic commodities market. DICA expects to approve 5.8 billion foreign investment for 2019 to 2020 fiscal year. All of that coming up later, but for now let's take a look at what's happening in local news. President of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, U Win Myint, exchanged congratulatory messages with President of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Xi Jinping, on the occasion of the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the Republic of the Union of Myanmar and the People's Republic of China, which falls on the 8th of June. On the same occasion, State Counsellor of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, also exchanged congratulatory messages with Mr. Li Keqiang, Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China. To commemorate 70 years of diplomatic ties and as a leading part of the Myanmar-China Cultural and Tourism Year, China Media Group, Chinese Cultural Center in Yangon and Skynet Media joined together to launch Belt and Road Chinese Theatre Time campaign in collaboration with the mobile video network company Vidya. Outstanding Chinese films, series, and documentary films are to be screened through television, social network, and internet in both China and Myanmar at the same time. It will bring confidence and joy to Myanmar people who are involving in fighting against the COVID-19, as well as the movie culture will let the people of the two countries know more about the beautiful culture of each other, thereby strengthening better mutual understanding and friendship. The Ministry of Electricity and Energy held a meeting on Sunday concerning the arrival of the LNG ship for the LNG to power projects and coordinating for the implementation of the project. Union Minister for Electricity and Energy U Win Kai delivered a speech where he said the Magway 66 megawatts power station project, Junchao 20.54 megawatts power station, and Alone 151.54 megawatts power station project are successfully contributing power to the national electricity grid. The Union Minister said that in the near future, the LNG to power Taketa electric production project will also be able to produce electricity for the grid as well, and they are working on completing the Danlian LNG to power project at the same time. He also thanked the hard-working personnel assigned to these projects for their perseverance during the COVID-19 pandemic. The LNG to power project is one of 7 projects that can produce 1,166 megawatts and is being implemented in Alone, Danlian and Taketa of Yangon region, Magway and Junchao of Magway region, Shui Dao in Bago region, and Jiaopiu in Rakhine State. The projects in Magway, Alone and Junchao have been completed, and the mobile filling platforms for the LNG ships were assembled in Singapore and installed in Dilawa LNG port on 2nd of June. A total of 260 Myanmar nationals who returned from China were transported back to their native places via Lashio in northern Shan State by train on Sunday. The returnees include 36 from Kachin State, 1 from Chin State, 113 from Sagaing region, 60 from Bago region, 5 from Magway region, 25 from Mandalay region, 3 from Yangon region, 3 from Rakhine State, 1 from Naypyidaw, and 13 from Ayeyarwady region. So far, a total of 9,371 returnees were already sent back to their native places via Lashio. Members of Lashio District and Township COVID-19 Control and Emergency Response Committee, well-wishers, railway officials, Red Cross, and volunteers checked the returnees' health conditions and fulfilled their needs. A special flight bringing medical supplies donated by the World Health Organization to support the Ministry of Health and Sports in fighting against the COVID-19 landed at Yangon International Airport at 11 a.m. on Sunday. The special flight arranged by the World Food Programme carried medical supplies including personal protective equipment, medicines, laboratory equipment, and reagents worth $10,000, and they will be handed over to the Ministry of Health and Sports. Under the humanitarian flight plan between Yangon and Malaysia, similar flights arranged by the WFP carrying medical supplies arrived in Yangon on the 10th, 17th, and the 24th of May. The outbreak of dengue hemorrhagic fever, DHF, has increased in the first 5 months of this year in Yangon, Mandalay, Sagaing, and Magway regions and Mon State, according to the Ministry of Health and Sports. The official statistics stated that a total of 1,208 people were infected with dengue hemorrhagic fever from 1st of January to 16th of May in 2020, with 8 reported dead. The DHF broke out mostly in Yangon, Mandalay, Sagaing and Magui regions in Mun State. Among them, Yangon has seen the most cases with 325 cases and 4 deaths. The DHF transmission rates in Yangon region are rampant, with 24 people in South Dagon, 16 in Tendabin, 16 in Shuipida, 15 in Laindaya, 14 in Dala, 11 in North Dagon, 10 in Dinganjun, 10 in Insane, 8 in Tanlien, and 7 in North Ukalapa townships, respectively. Therefore, the Public Health Department is conducting effective preventive and control measures against DHF under the program of covering, emptying, and cleaning of water storage containers and spraying of mosquito repellents. The department is also planning to provide awareness training courses for the local people to understand how to prevent the disease from breaking out. In this case, people need to participate in the health department. Additionally, the ward and township administrators need to announce in their wards and townships for the people to participate in the awareness training courses. That's all with the local news. Let's take a look at the first report now. State Counsellor Aung San Suu Kyi held a video conference with the volunteers and the respective officials from the National Volunteer Steering Unit for the COVID-19 on Saturday. Since the start of the COVID-19 outbreak in the country, the government has formed the national level volunteer team led by the State Counsellor as the chairperson from 25th of April. They started providing a volunteer training since 15th of May as a large number of returnees come back to the country from the border gates. In the video conference meeting, they discussed the current situation of voluntary activities.
State Counsellor Aung San Suu Kyi held a video conference with Dr. Win Myint A, Union Minister for Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement, Dr. Ang Jaw Thee, KR State Minister for Municipal and Social Affairs, and Mat Mya Momo, volunteer from Pateng, Ayeyarwady region. As the COVID-19 started in the country late March, the government only have a few doctors, health officer and nurse. The government has started the national level volunteer team led by the State Counsellor as the chairperson from 25 May. They have started providing a volunteer training since 15 May as a lots of returnees came back to the country from the border gate. There are currently 9,971 quarantine centers in all over the country. Those quarantine centers cannot run only with the frontline health workers. A lot of volunteers help the quarantine people enthusiastically. Dr. Win Myint A, Union Minister for Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement, spoke about the current activity of the national level volunteer team and the training.
Quarantine center ပေါင်း 9,982 ခုရှိပါတယ်။ ဒီ quarantine center တွေကအမျိုးမျိုးလည်းရှိပါတယ်။ဒီလိုကြတော့ hotel quarantine ရှိတယ်
When we set up the community's quarantine to prevent the spread of the COVID-19, we need a lot of manpower. It is not easy to carry out this prevention treatment by the government alone. With the help of the Ministry of Health and Sports, we provide training to the volunteers who are going to take the role in the community quarantine centers. For this long-term period of COVID-19, we have to support the volunteers systematically. The volunteers who serve at the community quarantine centers are the close contacts with the quarantine people. They can be infected easily, so they also have to stay at the designated buildings. Currently, we have over 9,971 quarantine centers, including home quarantine, hotel quarantine, and community quarantines, and so on. We have 46,663 people who are kept in quarantine, according to the data released from the Ministry of Health and Sports. For those people, we have 45,213 volunteers to help these quarantined people.
Since the establishment of the national level volunteer team, we have started providing teacher training to the doctors through online from the Ministry of Health and Sport and Myanmar Medical Association. They also launched the teacher training handbook and volunteer handbook. The State Counsellor also asked the respective official and minister to support all the volunteers.
COVID နဲ့ရုန်းကန်နေဆိုနောက်ဆုံးကြတော့လူတွေရဲ့စိတ်ဓာတ်နဲ့ရုန်းကန်ရတာပဲဒီ COVID ကိုချင်းချုံနိုင်ရလူတွေရဲ့စိတ်ဓာတ်ပဲ
To prevent the spread of COVID-19, staying at the quarantine center is the best way, as I mentioned earlier. For the volunteers, I'm really proud to have those kinds of youths. for our country. They will see difficulties and they will feel stressed when they communicate with the infected patients. They can also be infected while they are serving for those people. To control the COVID-19 is to have a strong immune system, and they also have to prepare their mind. Being too stressed can cause harm. I would like to call for the ministers and other respected officials to support the volunteers whatever they need.
Maemia Momo, the volunteer from Batang, Ayeyarwady region, as for the supplying and other material which are currently shortage at the quarantine center, she said.
Surgical gown April 95 masks
I have started as the volunteer in the facility quarantine center from 25th March. When we started, we have to do with all the stops, sweeping the floors and cleaning the rooms at the Batang University. At first, my parents are afraid of the infections, but I volunteer for my community as a youth. Most of the community quarantines, we have a lot of difficulties at first by communicating with the quarantined people. But we have to comfort them, and we serve everything what they wanted. Currently, we need supplies for the prevention. The N95 masks are in the expensive prices we can afford for them. And as I am the very first volunteer, I haven't finished the volunteer training, so I want to attend the volunteer training class through online. We can do more than we expected if there is an emergency case.
For Kaya State, Kaya is one of the states which have no infected patient. In Kaya, there's a 32 quarantine center and only 16 quarantine center has been used for the returning for the foreigner. There's a total of 208 people at the quarantine center with over 200 volunteers. As a lot of returnees have come back to their respective region, the government have prepared a new quarantine center to accommodate up to 100,000 people.
That's a report on the State Counsellor holding a video conference with volunteers at quarantine centres. All right, we'll move on to the next report. COVID-19 total cases have risen to 243 in Myanmar after 4 more returnees have tested positive, according to the Ministry of Health and Sports. So far, the total number is 243 with 6 deaths and 156 recoveries. Although the number of official COVID-19 patients has increased in Myanmar, many restaurants, tea shops and bars have reopened with health precautions in place. Pomo and Swedena will tell us more.
COVID-19 total cases have risen to 243 in Myanmar after 3 more returnees have tested positive, according to the Ministry of Health and Sports. So far, the total number is up to 243 with 6 deaths and 156 recoveries. As there are a lot of overseas returnees coming back to the country, the government has tested the results at the National Health Laboratory, Department of Medical Research, Public Health Laboratory in Mandalay, and Public Health Laboratory in Molamyai. Since the government announced to reopen schools in July, many people have been worried a lot about the infection. Speaking to my radio about the protective measures to be taken in the rainy season, Dr. Tan Ainso, Director of Health Knowledge Promotion Division, said.
People have restarted their living in new normal lifestyle. They have to protect themselves as much as they can, and respective officials will have to supervise the children. Mostly, we will have to educate the children about the infections, how the COVID-19 infects, how to guide social distancing in schools. The Ministry of Health and Sports always announces the notices and rules that the people will have to follow.
Although the number of official COVID-19 patients has increased in Myanmar, many restaurants, tea shops and bars have reopened with health precautions in places. Uwe Pyohan, Region Luttor representative from Insane Township, spoke to my radio through phone interview. He said,
Currently, we are carrying out the measure of protecting and preventing COVID-19. We breed hand wash basin for school in our township in collaboration with the volunteers and community organization. There are the rules and restrictions from the Ministry of Health and Sport to follow. As Yangon region government is the restriction, people became lack of carefulness about it. People have to live with the new normal lifestyle, which have been very unusual to them at first. But we shouldn't forget that the virus is near us.
All the 4 returnees are from India, 1 from Yangon and 3 from Naypyidaw. As there is lesser number of local transmissions for COVID-19 in the country, most of the cases are from the returnees. According to the Ministry of Health and Sports, a total of 60 returnees have tested positive for COVID-19 from 16 May to 6 June. All those returnees are from India, Malaysia, UAE, Italy, China, Thailand, and Bangladesh. Ko Jolin U, the resident from Saiji Khanauto, said.
As the restrictions are eased, the surgical masks prices become cheap, but for us, we can't buy surgical masks much. We have to use reusable masks. We know that these are not as protective as the surgical masks.
From 31st January to 6 June, the government tested 35,432 people for the disease, according to the data from the Ministry of Health and Sports. Yangon now accounts for 187 of all COVID-19 cases in the country. Gaya State is the only region in Myanmar without any reported case. The global pandemic has spread to 188 countries, killing over 394,000 people.
That's a report on the COVID-19 total cases reaching 243 in Myanmar. The outbreak of COVID-19 brought many of the businesses a halt across Myanmar, especially in the last 2 months, but as the businesses are coming back into operation from the 1st of June, the market of basic commodities is also back in operation. However, what is the current status of basic commodities market? Is there any change in the market after a semi-lockdown in the last 2 months or not? Williamson reports.
The 2 months in Myanmar, which are April and May, are the months where the government imposed strict rules and regulations on the containment of the virus by advising the public to stay at home. During these 2 months, many people struggle to earn for their livelihoods, but it has been around 3 weeks since the new cases have not been found in Myanmar. Rather, the new cases of virus-infected persons are returnees from abroad. However, the government has already lifted several restrictions in Myanmar, and many of the businesses can run normally from 1st of June. U Aung Min, the secretary of Myanmar Market Research Association, spoke to my radio about the current situation of the market for basic commodities, and he said,
For the people, rice is the most essential thing, and most of the shops would also try to store more rice than their usual amount. We also saw some sort of panic buying in the initial time of first cases reported in Myanmar, but it went off gradually. The market of basic commodities was not stable during that period of time, but it was not for long. The market returned to its normality soon. The market got stable after most of the associations reassured that there would be any shortage of rice and other commodities. The assurance of the business association was found effective, and the panic buying came to an end. For now, there is a small difficulty among the exporters in exporting their products to foreign countries, especially when we depend too much on one nation for export and you cannot export anymore suddenly. But this all will not affect the domestic market even in the monsoon season.
One of the biggest wholesale markets in Yangon, the Yangon wholesale market, is also running since 1st of June, after 2 months of restricted operation, though it was not closed. Dom Momo is a shopkeeper at the Yangon market and who hails from Bago region and sells a variety of flowers. I also spoke to my radio about the current situation of her business, and she said,
I've been doing this business for years to earn livelihood for my family. Of course, there are some challenges here since we have been working here with the fear of containing the virus. But the sale is going as usual, although we have a slight decline of the sale after the outbreak of COVID-19.
As the Ningbo market is one of the biggest wholesale market in Yangon, it has become a center for many of small contributors in different townships in Yangon. Masana Min is another shopkeeper from Myanmar Township who comes to the Ningbo market every 2 days and collects green vegetable for reselling at her own shop, and she also spoke to my radio and said,
The reason for collecting green vegetable here is here I have a wide range of choices and the vegetables are fresh. The price is very reasonable. Other wholesale markets have their own advantages, but the Yangon wholesale market is the best option for me.
According to some of the customers, this is the market they will go for their daily consumption, as this market offers a vegetable in much a lower price than comparing to other markets, and one of the freshest products are available here. But according to them, there is also change in the price of vegetable and other products, and there is a slight change in the products price depending on the season of their availability. Dao Mange is another shopkeeper at the Ningbo market who mostly provides supplies to restaurants across Yangon, and she spoke to my radio and she also said,
I usually provide supplies to most of the restaurants across Yangon, but what happened was that due to COVID-19, the restaurants were closed and many of the industries were closed down, which made the business down. Most of the time, I had leftover goods which have to be donated to the needy for free. But for now, the situation is getting back to normal and the sale is improving these days. However, sometimes I am worried about getting infected with the virus from the customers or somewhere else because we have different people from different places coming here.
This is Ulinsen for MI Radio.
That's a report on the current situation of the basic commodities market. We have more reports coming up. Stay tuned. According to the official statistics released by the Directorate of Investment and Company Administration, DICA, the total approved foreign investment for the previous year was about $4.1 billion, and for this fiscal year, the DICA is expecting to approve $5.8 billion. Until April of this fiscal year, $3,355.073 million of foreign investment has already been approved. Dr. Suzanne will tell us more.
The Directorate of Investment and Company Administration (DICA) is expecting to approve $5.8 billion foreign investment for 2019-2020 fiscal years, and till the month of April of fiscal year, $3,355.073 million was approved, according to the statement called Foreign Direct Investment Yearly Approved Amount by SEDA, released by DICA. According to the data informed by Uzo Winton, Director of Planning and Statistics Division of DICA, until the 29th of May, $4.19 billion has already been approved.
For
the foreign investment in April, the DICA had approved $293.864 million for real estate development and $139.43 million for other services, $109.054 million for transport and communication, $69.56 million for manufacturing, and $12.6 million for agriculture. The total amount of foreign investment approved for the month of April was $624.508 million.
According to Uzo Winton, in May there has been an increase in manufacturing, power, and real estate development. Till the 22nd of May of 2019-2020 fiscal years, $4.095 billion was approved for 175 enterprises by Myanmar Investment Commission, and 4 enterprises were approved by the Lower Economic Zone for $93.057 million. So totally about $4.19 billion has been approved out of expedition approved amount of $5.8 billion.
Among the approved sectors, 1.6 billion was approved for power, which was 40.81% of total approved foreign investment, 0.895 billion for real estate development, which was 21.87% of total amount. The sector with third most approved foreign investment was manufacturing with 601.497 million, which was 14.69% of total amount. Then the followed sectors were oil and gas, transport and communication, and other services, industrial estate, hotel and tourism, livestock and fisheries, and agriculture. There were no foreign investment into construction and mining for this fiscal year.
After 8 months of fiscal year to compare the same period of the previous fiscal year, over $1 billion investment was approved for this fiscal year than the previous one. For the actual flow of approved investment, FDA survey is being carried out for 2018-2019 fiscal years. Approximately $3.5 to $5 billion is accounted as actual flow annually. Countries and regions with most investment in Myanmar are Singapore, China, Thailand, Hong Kong, and United Kingdom. When power, manufacturing, and real estate development sectors are leading at the top of the investment rate, no investment have been seen flowing into construction and mining for this fiscal year, and the agriculture sector is encountering the lesser proposed and approved investment.
Agriculture sector has the high risk because of the weather situation and no insurance, so it can have high risk for losses. For the local investment, most of the companies had faced failure, and some are not successful as expected. Even the local investment doesn't work, so there's no way of getting more foreign investment. To reduce risk of agriculture, it needs to make policy changes and have better land development. The foreign investments are coming into the country for the profit, so it is necessary to have flexible procedures and policy for higher profit and lower risks.
As intended during the outbreak of COVID-19, the charges for the investment application form are reduced. Online services are available for the official procedures, and under CERP program by the government, Myanmar Investment Commission accredits the businesses to get loan during the virus crisis. That's all for now. This is Thora Susan from MI Radio.
That's a report on the DICA expecting to approve $5.8 billion foreign investment for 2019 to 2020 fiscal year. Well, that's all we have for today's reports. Let's take a look at the international news now. Even though the COVID-19 outbreak has not exploded in India, the country remains at risk of that happening as it moves to ease lockdown restrictions, the head of the World Health Organization's emergencies program has warned. In a briefing on Friday, Michael Ryan said the doubling time of COVID-19 infections in India was about 3 weeks at this stage. The WHO official also noted that the impact of the pandemic is different in different parts of India and it varies between urban and rural settings. India has reported the 5th most number of COVID-19 infections, standing at 245,962 as of Saturday evening, according to data from the US-based Johns Hopkins University. The country has also registered 6,933 fatalities. China's exports rose by 1.4% year-on-year to 1.46 trillion yuan in May, official data showed on Sunday. Imports fell by 12.7% to 1.01 trillion yuan last month, resulting in a trade surplus of 442.75 billion yuan, the General Administration of Customs said. Foreign trade of goods decreased by 4.9% year-on-year in May to 2.47 trillion yuan. In the first 5 months, the foreign trade of goods dropped by 4.9% year-on-year to 11.54 trillion yuan, maintaining the same level of decrease during the January to April period. During the January to May period, ASEAN remained as China's largest trading partner, with trade up by 4.2% year-on-year to 1.7 trillion yuan, accounting for 14.7% of China's total foreign trade. In other news, the Republic of Korea is committed to the agreement reached between President Moon Jae-in and leader of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Kim Jong-un, the ROK's Unification Ministry said in a statement on Sunday following Pyongyang's threats to shut down an inter-Korean joint liaison office and scrap their military agreement on easing tensions. The statement was released after the United Front Department, UFD, of the Central Committee of DPRK's ruling party, which handles inter-Korean affairs, made the threats on Friday in protests of anti-Pyongyang leaflets sent from the ROK by, quote, defectors from the north. Moon and Kim signed the Panmunjom Declaration during their first ever summit at the border village of Panmunjom on April 27, 2018. Vowing to put an end to the Korean War and beginning a, quote, new era of peace on the Korean peninsula. China is now on its way to recovering from the COVID-19 crisis and is ready to share its experience with the rest of the world. A white paper, Fighting COVID-19, China in Action, was published on Sunday detailing the country's efforts in containing the infectious disease while keeping society functional during the months of disruptions. As the first country to be severely affected by the novel coronavirus outbreak, as the first known cases were reported in the central Chinese city of Wuhan last December, it has managed to mitigate the epidemic, with daily new infections dwindling to single digits from thousands in fewer than 3 months. In other news, Black Lives Matter protesters have pulled down a statue of 17th century slave trader Edward Colston that had stood in the centre of Bristol in the west of England, UK, since 1895. The statue had been the object of controversy in recent years, with many saying he shouldn't be publicly recognised by the town and even signing a petition to have it removed. Colston also has several landmarks taking his name in Bristol. The bronze statue was pulled down among the cheering of the protesters and then pushed it into the city's river. The incident came as anti-racism protests continued around Europe, with thousands gathering to condemn the killing of unarmed black man George Floyd in the United States. Floyd died after a white police officer knelt on his neck for almost 9 minutes as he was pinned to the floor. The policeman Derek Chauvin has been dismissed and charged with murder. It sparked a wave of demonstrations around the world, including large gatherings this weekend in London. Well, that's all we have for now. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you again. Goodbye.